Hello everyone, welcome back to Chemistry CC for you. So today we are going to discuss some questions from part A of COSET examination. I have included questions from the question paper and also a few questions from outside so that you will be aware of what are the things asked. So most of what we have tried in this video is to include all the types of questions that are asked. I have also included a few tricks and tips for you to attend a particular type of question. Also, this is not enough because they can ask a lot of questions from the part A. So I'll try to make at least 2 videos or 3 videos in this part. So this is the first one. Let's begin. And also the inorganic chemistry shortcut video as well as the exceptions in organic chemistry. Those videos will one of those will come today or by tomorrow morning most probably. Do watch it. It is going to be very helpful for you. And again, usually the questions are shuffled and asked for all the examinations. So some questions from the part of CUSET can be asked for Pondicherry University or HCU and vice versa. So every question of every entrance can be expected in the other exams also. So I better suggest you to watch all the videos, not just stick into your own questions. Uh, so let's begin. So these are certain words and prepositions. So these kinds of words are actually asked as fill in the blanks question in CUSET, like accused of, accustomed to, afraid of, aim at. So these things, these are called prepositions, and these prepositions will be blanked out, and you will be asked to fill in these blanks. So these things you have to take care. Just try to be familiar with at least these words because these are commonly asked words, like accuse of, then ashamed of, congratulate on, composed of, die of, different from, dressed in, guilty of. These questions, these are the words which are usually usually asked mostly as the fill in the blanks question. So I suggest either you write this down or just take a screenshot of this particular slide, this particular screen right now, and go through it as many times as possible so that it gets registered in your mind. It's going to be helpful for you. So that's the first thing. So these words are really important. I'll try to include further set of words in the coming videos, but these are most top words plus prepositions which are probable for this year's question. Last year they asked something about absent from or absent or like that. So this year you can expect one of these words. So there is probability. This is the first type. Secondly, I have included some idioms. So if you remember in last year's question paper, the very first question was a boy from the town felt dash felt like a dash in the sleepy village. So it was a fish out of water. So that is called an idiom in English. So that is a phrase which we can use to show a particular meaning. So these are a collection of certain idioms that can be asked and their meanings along with. So this phrase, every cloud has a silver lining. This phrase means that no matter how difficult the situation is, there can be things will get better in the future. Secondly, give someone the benefit of the doubt. So that means some person is accused of something, and but we will believe that person until there is a proof against that person. So like we'll say, given the benefit of doubt to him, I believe he did not go there. So that means that person believes that the particular boy did not go to a place because of a benefit of doubt. Then next word is once in a blue moon. It means something that happens extremely rarely. So this once in a blue moon actually means something which happens extremely rarely. So she comes back to town once in a blue moon. It means that she is someone who comes to the town very rarely. She doesn't come to the town all the time, but only very rarely. Steal someone's thunder. It means that it is taking someone else credit. So maybe a boy deserves a credit for doing something, but suddenly some other person comes and takes up the whole credit for the situation. So he deserved to be the center of attraction, but someone else has stolen his thunder. That's the thing. Steal someone's thunder. Then see eye to eye. It means to agree with someone else on a subject. So doesn't they cannot see eye to eye means they cannot agree on any of the subject. If two people, so if you are saying Ram and Rahul cannot see eye to eye, means they cannot agree on some subject, or so on. Next, back to square one. So after the failure in the exam, she went back to square one. It means that she is going back and starting again. Maybe about the she is starting to study again, or she is starting her preparation again. So where she has started, she has reached the same point once again. That's the meaning of back to square one. Then elephant in the room. So this is something, there is an issue and nobody is going to talk about it. So that means elephant in the room. Though they were silent, there was an elephant in the room. It means that though they did not fight about something, there is something they have to talk about. That is the meaning of this particular phrase. And birds of a feather. Birds of a feather means people who are very like-minded and they may spend more time together. So if you are telling um, Radha and Rahul are birds of a feather, so they spend so much time together. It means that they are people who are like-minded, and so they spend a lot of time together. So these are very prominent idioms. You have a lot more of idioms, but right now I'll focus on these words. In the next video, I'll try to include some more. Again, you could take a screenshot of this and keep this one in your mind. Now let's start with the questions. Now the questions are totally from the portion of mathematics in the beginning, mathematics and logic. So here, the selling by selling an item for rupees 198, Souvik made a loss of 12%. By how much should he have raised the price to make a profit of 8%? So first of all, this is the formula chart that you have to remember to do any question from the part of selling price, profit and loss. So this is the thing. If the cost price, CP means cost price, SP means selling price, P means percentage of profit, L means percentage of loss. So if cost price and profit percentage are given, this is the formula you have to use. If cost price and loss percentage is given, this is the formula you have to use. If selling price and profit percentage are given, this is the formula you have to use. And finally, if selling price and loss percentage are given, this formula. Now let's take a look at what is the question here. So this question can be divided into two parts. In the first part, you have selling price as well as loss percentage, from which you can find the cost price or CP. So if you have selling price and loss percentage, this is the formula you have to use to find the cost price. Let's see. So cost price would be 198, which is our selling price here, into 100. 100 is there, divided by 100 minus L. So our loss percentage is 12. So 100 minus 12 is 88. So 198 into 100 by 88 give you 225, which is the cost price that we are looking for. So the first part of our question is over. Now we want to find how much he should have raised the price to make a profit of 8%. So now since you know the cost price, you can find the second selling price where you should have a profit. So in the first case, you have a selling price where there is a loss and you have to find the cost price. Now, since you have the cost price, you have to find the selling price where you'll get a profit. So which formula should you use? You should use cost price and profit percentage, this first formula. So let's see. Here selling price would be cost price, which is 225 into 100 plus profit. 8 is the profit percentage. So 100 plus 8, it is 108 by 100. So our selling price is 243. So right now what happens? So by how much amount should he have raised the amount? It would be 243 minus 198, which is equal to 45. Option D, 45 is our answer. So he sold the item for 198, but he should have sold it for 243 to get a profit of 8%. So please take a look at these formulas. This will be helpful for you to find the answers more quickly. Let's go to the second question. So this is a question from probability. Very, very important type of question. So here what is that? They have given the probability of selection of Ram and Ramesh individually. They have to find the probability that only one of them will be selected. So what they should do? First of all, probability of Ram getting selected is 1 by 6 and probability of Ramesh getting selected is 1 by 8. Next stage, the probability of only one of them getting selected would be equal to probability of selecting Ram into probability of not selecting Ramesh plus probability of selecting Ramesh into probability of not selecting RAM. In that case, what would be our answer? 1 by 6 is the probability of selecting RAM. So since probability of selecting Ramesh is 1 by 8, not selecting him would be 7 by 8. So 1 by 6 into 7 by 8 plus probability of selecting Ramesh is 1 by 8. And not selecting Ram would be, here 1 by 6 is the probability of selection. So not selection would be 5 by 6. So answer would be 12 by 48 or 1 by 4. Option B, 1 by 4 is the correct answer. So when you are given individual probabilities of some case and you want to find the probability of only one of that event happening, this is the formula you have to use. So previously in one of the videos I have done the probability when you want both of them getting selected. So I'll be putting that link in the description box for you. Just go through that. Then that will cover the formulas in the part of probability. This is the second type where only one of them gets selected. So this is one kind of question, and both of them getting selected or both the events happening is another type of another set of formula which I'll be giving the link in the description box. Please do watch it. So I hope you understood this. Now let's go to the third question. So this is the clock question. An accurate clock shows 8 o'clock in the morning. Through how many degrees will the hour hand rotate when the clock shows 2 o'clock in the afternoon? So from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock, how many hours are there? There will be 6 hours from 8 to 2 o'clock. So we want to find the angle traced by the hour hand in 6 hours is 360 by 12 into 6, which is equal to 180 degree. So how do we get this 360 by 12? So let's see that. So in the hour hand would travel 360 degree in 12 hours. So if we are starting at 12 o'clock, the hour hand to reach, it travels 360 degree to come back to 12. There will be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So 12 hour is equal to, so how do we get this? 12 hour is equal to 360 degree. Okay. So what happens? 12 hour is 360 degree. So 1 hour is 360 by 12. 1 hour is equal to 360 divided by 12. And further 6 hours will be 360 by 12 into 6, which is what we have written here. Now I'll give you some more formulas. So the minute hand moves 360 degree in 60 minutes and the hour hand moves 360 degree in 12 hours. So in h hours and m minutes, the minute hand would move h into 60 plus m whole into 6 and hour hand would move h into 60 plus m whole into 0.5. So this formula you should remember. So if somebody is asking you how many degrees does the minute and hour hand move at 8:30, then you have to, what is the number of minutes and hours? 8 hours and 30 minutes, how much it moves. So you have to separately calculate the uh, angle made by hour hand as well as the minute hand using these formula. Please write this one down. Minute hand would move h into 60 plus m into 6 and hour hand would move h into 60 plus m into 0.5. Please take this one down. In h hours and m minute, how many times it would move. That's the third set of questions. Now let's see the fourth set of questions. For how many times the hands of a clock are at right angles in a day? I have already discussed this question one time. I'll just repeat this once again. And if you have any doubt, just go back to the previous video. Again, I'll attach the video in the comment section below. So in 12 hours, there are right angles at 22 times. In 24 hours, therefore, it is 44. So our answer would be option C, 44. This was asked last year. So how does this come? So let's assume that the hour hand stands still. In that case, the minute hand can make 11 revolutions and therefore, it can be at right angles for 22 times. That is, we are taking both in 24 hours, in 12 hours, it can be at right angles with the hour hand 22 times. And in 24 hours, so it will be 2 into 22, which is equal to 44. This is a very simple question. If you have any doubt, you can go back and see the previous video in which I have explained this more clearly. I'll attach the link in the description box. Now, this is a very interesting question. So for these kinds of question, you have to draw a Venn diagram or any diagram for that purpose, which can make the questions easy. Let's see. So there are 25 people in a room and 15 of them play hockey, 17 of them play football, and 10 of them play both hockey and football. So we want to find the number of people who plays neither hockey nor football. Let's see. So I'll draw one circle which represents hockey. I'll write it as H, and another which represents football, and I'll write it as F. Now, people who plays both are 10. Okay. Now, total number of people who plays hockey are 15. So out of them, we have already written 10. So how many would be remaining? There will be 5 remaining, which makes up total 15 in the hockey part. And in case of football, 17 of them play football. So I have already written 10 who plays football. Remaining there will be 7. So now what we have to do? The total number of people. So let's assume you have a box here which represents the total number. The total number is 25. Out of this already I have written the people who play only hockey, the people play only football, and the people who play both. Now there will be one more set of people who doesn't play anything. How to find them? It will be equal to 25 minus 5 plus 5 plus 10 plus 7. All right, I hope you understood this. So there are 4 set of people. One, those who play only hockey. Second, those who play only football. Third, those who play both. And fourth, those who play neither, which do not fall in either of these circles. So the answer would be equal to 3. Option D, 3 would be the right answer. So I'll just explain this once more. So what you have to do, first of all, you have to draw a box, and that consists of the total number of people, which is 25. Then what you will do? Then you will draw one for one set of events, which is for hockey, and the second for football. Then you will read the question and find how many people play both. So the people who play both will be falling in this region where both of these meet in this small area. So this is common for both. So 10 people are playing both. Now, along with this 10 and some others make up this 15. So already 10 is written. So what will be remaining in the hockey part? It will be 5. Then 17 of them play football, and already we have written 10. So 7 will be remaining. Now what you have to do? Now you have to just calculate how many should fall outside the circle to make it a total of 25. So here, since we have 22 and we need only 3 who doesn't play in 3 who don't play any to make up 25. So option D would be our correct answer. If you have any doubt, please ask in the comment section. I'll explain it again in the next video. But try what you have to do. You have to draw the diagram and try to write down what are given, the information given in the question. That would be the easiest method to follow. So next question. The sum of 3 consecutive even integer is 54. What is the smallest number? So suppose, what if we are starting from 2? What are the 3 nearest even number? 2 would be there, 4 would be there, 6 would be there. If I am starting from 4, what are the nearest even numbers? 4, 6 and 8. And if I am starting from 10, 10, what are the nearest even numbers? It is 10, 12 and 14. So in all these cases, we can say that if the first even number is x, the second even number is x plus 2, and the third even number is x plus 4. Here also x, x plus 2 and x plus 4. Similarly x, x plus 2 and x plus 4. So what can we write here? So according to our question, x plus 2 plus x plus 4 is equal to 54, where x is the smallest number. Now we just need to simplify this. 3x plus 6 equal to 54, 3x is equal to 48, and x is equal to 16. So whenever you have some mathematical question, try to form a very simple equation, very simple equation, and there you go, you are done. You got the answer. Algebraic equation solution is really good, And I have already discussed what are the questions asked in part A. If you have not watched that video yet, just watch it. And I have given some tricks and tips there as well. So all those videos I'll be linking down in the description box. Do watch that for your easy references. So yes, sum of three consecutive even integer is 54, and the smallest number is 16 here. Option C is the correct answer. Let's go to the next question. This is another type of logical question where they give relationship and we have to identify the relation. So let's see what we have to do. We have to draw a family tree in these cases. So how will we draw the family tree? I'll explain. First sentence you have A. So A is the father of B. So A, father of B. So I'll write here father. Okay. A is the father of B. Next, what we have? C is the son of D. So we have C, who is the son of D. Let's draw D somewhere here. So this is again C is the son of D. In the next set, what they have given? E is the brother of C. E is the brother of C. So D has two children. It means D has two children. Okay. Because since this is brother, so they will be brother and sister. So since E is the brother of C, again it is the son of D itself. And also D is the sister of B. So this is sister of B. So again A is the father of D as well. Now what is the question? What is the relationship between B and E? So the answer is uncle or aunt. Uh, let's see, D is the sister of B. So no, B, the gender of B is not given. So the answer can be either A or B. Once again, let's start. What you should do, first of all, when you draw the family tree, the first element you should write. So A is the father. So right now we know that A is the father and A has one child. Right now we know only that information. Who is B? We don't know whether it is son or daughter or whatever. Next, the information that we have is that the information that we have is we have a child C whose father, I mean D has one child called C. In the next, already they are giving another child E who is the brother of C. So these two are related, which makes D the father of E. Next, father or mother, it can be either. Next, what is so it is mother. D is the sister of B. So D and B are related, which makes A the father of D. So A is the father, B and D are the children, and children of D are C and E. So already you drew the family tree. Next, what is the question asked? How is B related to E? So B, since the gender of B is not given, it can be either aunt or uncle. So the answer is option D, either A or B. So this is how you have to write. Always draw an image and try to connect them very well. Write all the information one by one and then connect them. Don't altogether write it, just connect one by one. Now next question. These type of questions are the general biology and general chemistry kind of questions. So which one of the following is a true fish as per the biological system of classification? So flying fishes are true fishes because they have streamlined body and respire through gills. Then cuttlefishes are mollusks. Silverfish is actually an insect, and jellyfish is it is not a true fish. So the only true fish here is option D, flying fish. So for these kinds of things, you need to know basic biology of your 11th standard and 12th standard. But I think you will understand from the options. So right now, this question can be repeated. So just since this is a new fact, this has the possibility of being repeated. Please write this down. It can be helpful for you. Next question. A bright light is found to emit from a photographer's flash gun. So this is due to, say, again, this is general chemistry. It is xenon, and sometimes there can be neon also, but we'll go with the majority. I mean, the main option, which is xenon. Xenon is mostly used in the bright light as for the photographer's flash gun. So xenon will be the answer. In case you do not have xenon and only neon is present, then you should go with neon. That is another fact. Next question. These are all the part of small questions in the English part. Okay. So the value of one US dollar is 65 Indian rupees today compared to the 60 last year. The Indian rupee has been. So the only two options that you should, first of all, you should understand what does this mean. So for you have to pay 65 Indian rupees to get one US dollar, or you will get only $1 for 65 Indian rupees. That means Indian rupee does not have much value. That means it is not appreciated or stabilized. So you can just cut down two options. Then we cannot say use the word depressed. The word depressed is not used in economy, so our answer would be depreciated, which means decline in price. So first of all, you should read the sentence and understand what they are trying to convey in this sentence. So they are saying one US dollar is 65 now compared to 60 last year. So last year to get one US dollar you had to pay only 60, but this year you have to pay 65. Or other way, you can say last year you could get you mean you for 60 you could get one US dollar. This year you have to pay 65 and you got only single dollar. So it is the value is being reduced and that means depreciated. It is not appreciated or stabilized, it is depreciated. The fire was written by it is APJ Abdul Kalam. And who among the following personalities stated Swaraj is my birthright and I'm going to have it? It is Balagangadhar Tilak. So these kinds of one or two questions can also come in the first 25 questions. I have discussed a mixture of questions and have given you some tips also, some formulas that could ease the time you use to solve these questions. Just remember all this, watch all the other videos that I'm going to give in the link. And when you're preparing for your subject, not just focus on the CUSET exam questions, check other examination questions as well, because the question makers can lift the questions from other examinations. So do that, study well. Thank you so much. Please watch the new videos that will be released tomorrow also. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, everyone.